What do you make of Harry's visit to the coronation? Because he was on the ground for such a short amount of time.
Listen, this visit was a blink and you miss it visit. I mean, he was here for just over 24 hours. He got in late on the Friday, and by the time that the royal family were having the official pictures taken here at Buckingham Palace, Harry was already en route to the airport. So it really was a fleeting visit, and I think he'd never looked more like a spare part, you know, and that word spare, obviously his autobiography, but to me, I looked at him and just thought, you look like a spare part. And I think many people, including some members of his own family, wondered why he bothered coming at all. Yes, he can say that he was at his father's coronation. Thank goodness he was there, because it would have looked terrible had he not been. But really, couldn't he have been at that lunch at the palace? There was a place set for him at the table. His father, the king, would have welcomed him with open arms. And I think it was a great shame, because there was no interaction between him and any of the family members that mattered.
Did he and William make any eye contact at all?
I couldn't see any sign of eye contact whatsoever. I mean, the Prince of Wales was in a completely different position. He was part of the royal procession. He was there in the front pew. He was up there swearing allegiance to his father. Harry was 3 rows behind, pretty much hidden by his aunt, Princess Anne's hat. She had a very sort of pointed hat, which was the Regiment of Blues and Royals, the official uniform of theirs, with a huge feather, which meant that he was largely obscured, actually, for most of the service. I couldn't see any interaction between him and William, and I'm told from very reliable sources that while they were both in Windsor on that Friday night, and really not far from each other, Frogmore Cottage isn't far at all from where William and Kate are living at Adelaide Cottage, there was no contact between the brothers.
There are several memes that were made of Harry's facial expressions.
I know Harry pretty well, and for all of the sort of smiles and the joshing with Jack Brooksbank, I think, Kevin, that inside he was feeling as crumpled as his Dior suit looked from the back, and that was pretty crumpled.
People gave him some grief for wearing Dior, didn't they?
Had he been in a Savile Row suit, would it have creased so much? I'm not sure, but he did look a little untidy from the back, and as I say, crumpled, and I can only imagine that inside he was feeling pretty shoddy.
One of the interesting things that we saw that you didn't see on TV was Harry, after the coronation, walk out of the Abbey, and he waited out there. He talked for a few minutes with Jack Brooksbank and other folks, and then he stood there by himself, waiting for his car. It felt sad, and it looked like he was alone. What do you make of that moment?
Well, I think it was the absolute image of an outsider, of someone who is not a part of his family, who has been cut adrift. And personally, I think it was very, very sad. There was a place set for him at that table so that he could have been at that informal lunch. He was never going to be part of that balcony lineup. He was never going to be up there because he's not a working member of the royal family, but he's still a member of the royal family. He's still the king's son. And I'm told from a source very close to Charles that whatever has happened, Charles loves Harry and would have loved for him to have been at least a part of those family celebrations.
Let's say that Harry does go to that luncheon. He walks in there, William's in there, there's some other people who have very hard feelings towards them. How awkward would it have been if he had showed up to that lunch?
Listen, of course it would have been awkward. We know he's not spoken to his brother, they're not on talking terms. There is a froidoir between them that may never ice over. But there is also a king who loves his son, and I think would have gone out of his way to have made Harry feel welcome. And I think for the king's big day, you just put on a brave face and you just get on with it. And I think it's a shame that Harry didn't do that. The fact that there was a place set at the table showed that there was an open invitation. He didn't take it. That was his choice.
Do you think Archie's birthday was used as an excuse?
I think Archie's birthday was very convenient for the prince. I mean, any parent, of course, doesn't want to miss their children's big day. But actually, there's only one coronation. There's only one chance to see your father crowned king.
He comes back this summer. Do you think he will bring his family this time so that the king can see his children?
Well, Harry is back. He's back for court cases that are coming up, and he's also back for the Invictus Games in Germany this summer. So there's every chance he might come to the UK, but where's he going to stay? He doesn't have the keys to Frogmore Cottage anymore. There's a big redistribution of the royal houses, and we know that Harry and Meghan, now that they're living full-time in America, have lost their UK home. So if he is here, they're going to have to find somewhere for him to stay. I think it might be a while before we see Harry and his family here in Britain.
But Katie, they have a lot of rooms in there. They have a lot of rooms in Clarence House.
Well, this is still being refurbished at the moment. Of course, they can always find a place.
There are places for them to stay.
There are plenty of places for them to stay. I think it's really a case of, do they want to come back? Do they feel that they're going to be made welcome? I think the fact that Harry didn't turn up at all for that lunch, to actually see his father and speak to him in person, shows that, yes, all right, we know there have been conversations, but really there is still a very real rift at the heart of the House of Windsor.
Charlotte noticing her father walking on stage and her pointing
Yes.
like, wow, there's my dad.
Yeah, I think you can see, whether it's with them when they're helping out the scouts, or watching them at the service, or watching Charlotte pointing out so proudly her papa as he comes onto the stage, you see how close this family is. You see how much love there is between them. And I think, you know, William and Kate are brilliant parents, and I think the world's got to see that. And of course, this is the future. They are the future of the House of Windsor.
Do you think they're tighter because of what happened with Harry? Harry leaving the family, that's pulled them together even tighter?
Well,
it's a tighter, smaller circle?
Listen, I think they were always a really tight-knit circle. Kate comes from a very close family. And let's not forget, actually, and we should mention the importance of the Middletons being in the 6th or 7th row was very, very close to the main action. So they've always been a close family, but I certainly think that for William and Kate, they've become closer than ever, because the last 2 years have been really, really tough for William. He's lost his brother, he's lost his best friend, and Kate's been an incredible support through all of that.